Welcome everybody this morning. We were told that it was going to be lashing rain this morning and that no one would show up here, so the gods are with us, which is very, very useful. This is a subject that is being discussed worldwide right now. So thankfully we're on theme in terms of what's important in the CX world. And I think today is really about figuring out what's the way forward in terms of this technology and human discussion. And we've got three very interesting speakers, which I'll talk a little bit about as I wrap up, who are going to address that and I think give us some guidance as to where that is going. We know that technology gives us convenience. We know that technology will make it easier for me to do business with your companies. We also know that humans are the greatest asset you have in your company. And we also know that Irish consumers have a strong preference for the human touch. And so it's trying to figure out what this balance is about, and today we're going to address that. For me, I actually believe the solution in this whole debate is here in this illustration. This is an illustration of our cover of our report last year. Some of you may recognize it, but in essence it's basically about making sure that the human touch and technology are working together to give us that emotional impact with our consumers. That's what it's about. It really is getting that balance right. So from that perspective, I think we'll hear some interesting things from our guys today. One of the biggest issues we hear every single week when dealing with clients is technology waits for no one. It is putting huge pressure on the C-suite in large enterprise, on owners of medium-sized business. Everybody is fixated with trying to stay ahead of their competitors in the digital world. That's where all the focus seems to be right now. And the problem with that is that while we have companies all telling us that we are absolutely 100% focused on our customers, what's really happening is about 95% of their investments at board level are in technology. That balance is incorrect. Only last couple of days, and I know there's a number of members of Bank of Ireland here, the headlines were talking about the major investment that Bank of Ireland are making, and we wish you well in all of that. But it just goes to show this is happening every single day. And our challenge to everybody in the room is you've got to fight that. You cannot let technology take all of that resource. The human side of our business is so critical. So from that perspective, we'll get into that in a little bit more detail again this morning. I don't think anyone is going to argue that every customer is unique. One of the things that we're finding, however, when we talk about customer experience is very, very simple, but it's really hard to deliver. And this is one of the reasons why. We all accept that our customers are all different. But what we don't actually really understand, and this has come to us in a number of examples with clients that we're working with, is that each customer's emotional needs change by the time of day, by who's with them when they're in store, by season, etc. So we did a piece of research for Eason's, and through our persona, we identified Fast Freddy. Fast Freddy comes into their store every single morning and he picks up the Irish Times or whatever newspaper he's buying. And Fast Freddy has only one thing in mind. He doesn't want to be greeted. He doesn't want to have a conversation with staff. Fast Freddy wants to get his paper, skip a queue, and walk out. However, when Fast Freddy gets to Christmas time and he has to buy a present for somebody in the office, he's desperately in need of attention. And it's up to the individual staff members to recognize when Fast Freddy needs that time, shouldn't be interrupted, etc. So those are skills that are really critical to the success of your CX delivery. I think when we talk about tech, one of the things, again, we're seeing is that, technology is complicated. It's also expensive. And we're doing some work with an Australian firm at the moment, and we shared some insights, which basically was a piece of research that was done last year globally. And it states that 1/3 of technology projects around the world are successful. Just 1/3. 1/3 of them are cancelled because they go over budget or they pass the deadline dates. And 1/3 get completed and are unsuccessful because they were never on brief. So there's a huge risk in throwing your hat at a digital-first execution. However, when you get it right, when you get your technology right, everything will be smooth. Everything, your customers have huge benefits from that process. But be careful of the planning, etc., in the beginning of that. I was honored to be speaking at an event in London last week. Oracle ran a program in the Mercedes-Benz World Experience venue. Absolutely phenomenal venue. I have to tell you a little bit about it, because when you go in, there's this beautiful museum. You've got a sales area, you've got the servicing area, but in the back of the building, they have a Formula One track that you can take your car out and rip it. I saw a lot of people getting out of those cars a bit wobbly. I was very smart, I didn't try that. But the output of that session, which was again discussing this, was, and for me, I was really proud, because Oracle, I believe, have got it right. Oracle's view on this technology human touch piece is really about, if you are in the digital first space, make sure that when you're designing that program, make sure that the digital is the experience. Everything you do, everything you engage, Oracle all about making sure that there is a really great experience there. They're also basically saying that if you're going to invest in technology, make sure that it is enabling your staff to do the work that they do brilliantly, and that is engage with consumers. And that's a wonderful philosophy from a tech company. They're not just forcing product within there. They truly believe that that balance has to be put in place. I've often talked to you about it in the past. For me, people will always ask, well, who's doing this well? And my example usually is my taxi. I'm a big taxi driver. I take taxis all over the place. In fact, most of my friends think I've been banned from driving, but that's probably your Irish answer to things. I remember in the early days, you'd pick up the phone and you'd book a taxi, and you pick it up again and say, where is it? And you pick it up again, and at this stage, you're swearing down the phone that you're going to kill somebody. And then my taxi arrives. And that to me is the most wonderful use of technology that made my life incredibly easy. Sometimes it goes wrong, but that's sometimes, and you have to put up with that certain times. But it's nice to know that the rest of the group are dealing with you in a human way. A little bit of homework just before we leave. I'm just delighted to announce this. We basically launched the first CX Academy online course 2 weeks ago. It's a world first. It's something that we've been working on very hard for the last year. Basically, we've had a great start to it. We've had many large enterprise, medium-sized companies and small companies from around the world come on board in our first course. So we're absolutely delighted with it. But basically, I'm very proud to say it is a superb course. It really is. And I think anybody who is looking for some understanding on the foundations of CX, you should take this on. I know that there are certain brochures that are probably on the chairs or they're outside. If you would like to do that course, I feel like Ryan Tuberty here, there will be a discount for everybody in the audience. We will send out an email following today, and we'll give you codes, etc. But please, if it's not for you, then maybe somebody else in your organization should try it. It's been tremendously successful. We're really excited about it. And the next course starts on the 4th of April, and the diploma will launch in mid-summer. So there's a lot of development work that we're doing in this. We're trying to fill that specific gap. And then finally, just in terms of homework or housekeeping, a member of the audience last time we were here suggested to me that while they come to these events, they pick up so much really rich insights. The problem is by the time they get back to the office, they lose the motivation to share these wonderful stories with staff in the way they are delivered on stage by the speakers today. So what we're doing is we're videoing all the talks today. They'll be captured in a basic report, and you'll get this early next week. So you don't have to take too many notes today, but you will get this early next week, and hopefully that will be useful. And by all means, please share that with your colleagues who you think it'll be worthy of. That's me done. I'm just going to introduce our first speaker. Justin Conroy is Head of Transformation at 3. I've known Justin for many years. And if anybody has buns on them, he's very happy that you throw them at him if he makes any mistakes during this piece of work. Justin has worked with Vodafone, Microsoft, Bearing Point, and Aviva, mostly in a strategic and planning space. But one of the things I would say about Justin from my own perspective, we're working with Justin and his team, he is the dream client. He is the one client that I've worked with for many years, and any time you finish a meeting with Justin, he will always say, "Is there anything we can do for you?" Isn't that just a lovely way to introduce somebody? You are the dream client, and you're starting us today, Justin. Thank you very much, and I'll be back in a minute to link you all together. Over to you, sir.